we will have short presentations from each of our special interest groups. So as I mentioned earlier, we have special interest groups that have really taken amazing initiative. We have community members from across sectors, from across industries, not only in the Salt Lake Valley, but across Utah. It's been a really impressive group of people who have come together for this.
Great. I'm Kevin Williams. I run Ascend Labs, which is an AI literacy organization. We work with mid-market companies in developing their capacity to understand AI. So leading up the workforce special interest group was near and dear to my heart for sure. The first thing I want to say is that I am enormously impressed and pleased with the 65 people who ended up involved in the SIG. Starting just almost exactly a year ago, we dove in, and the goal was to actually create something that was pragmatic and usable by the Utah community. And I'm just delighted with what I see. I don't see my own. There we go. So the goal was to enable education and workforce ecosystems to adopt AI inclusively and strategically, ensuring AI serves as a sustainable asset that drives innovation, strengthens institutional capacity, and people for evolving work environments. That was the actual mission of the special interest group, and I think that we really achieved it with our document. We have spent all day with the why this matters now, so I'm just going to go right beyond that. What we chose to do is we developed 9 different sections in the guide that we divided into 4 areas of focus. So a lot of organizations are just sort of tossing up their hands. They don't really know where to start. And the first place that they need to start is in foundation and governance. So what is the structure that AI is going to take in terms of leadership within the organization? What is the manifesto that leadership might put forward such that they're setting the stage for their people and helping their people understand what's in store for them? And then you need some sort of guardrails in place. What are the policies that organizations need to have such that they create some guardrails around it, such that people aren't just diving into free Chinese tools and leaking their corporate data all over the place, which they're totally doing left, right, and center, which is fantastic. And related to that, what are the risks involved? So behind the scenes, understanding what are the risks for your organization. Are you in an organization that deals with high-risk data? Are you dealing with HIPAA or PII, business secrets, whatever it is, that may calibrate how you have to approach risks in AI in your implementations. The second is in readiness and assessments. So once you've laid the foundation, you have to figure out where you are in the world of AI. Like, what is your capability? What sort of data do you already have? What does it look like? How are you going to actually use this in terms of integrating it into generative AI or other AI systems? And then, where are you with your people? What is your people's level of understanding, and what tools are already in place? What vendors are you already using? Are you using Salesforce or HubSpot, or you have a Snowflake implementation? And do you understand what the AI tools are that are built into those programs? Once you're there, you need to actually develop skills. So the first section here is on training program development, which, as I said, is near and dear to my own heart, and really equipping people with the skills that they need to implement not just AI as a tool, but AI as a new way of approaching challenges. So that holistic understanding of integrating this new technology into the way that they're thinking about new challenges and new problems. And then integration and change management. I like to, well, I don't necessarily like to joke, but people like me will go into an organization and create all kinds of chaos because we're creating new opportunities for people to basically break all of the organizational structures that are in place. So if you don't take that into account, that suddenly your salesperson has the ability to do their own marketing and to do all their own financial work, you are going to create all kinds of organizational disruption. Related to that are the concerns, and frankly, very real concerns that a lot of employees are having about the changes that are happening in their workplace. So you have to have a really solid lens on change management as well. And then once you have the rest of these pieces in place, it's a matter of really trying to figure out how to calculate where the easy opportunities are. And there are often quick wins in organizations that offer relatively low risk, relatively high return, and relatively fast time to an ROI, which is what most organizations want. Instead, many of them lean into incredibly complicated things that take months and months and months. They haven't done the readiness, they haven't done the training, and lo and behold, these projects tend to fall on their face. And then the last, I think, is really interesting. It's putting together teams and approaches to understanding not just how artificial intelligence is impacting your company today, but how it's going to impact your company tomorrow. How does the landscape change? Because you're not operating in a vacuum, whatever your organization is. Your constituencies are also going to be adopting various forms of this technology. If you're in the commercial realm, those competitive dynamics are probably going to be changing. You're going to have ways of constantly improving. One of the challenges with a project like this, and one of the risks to it, is that who knows if what we've put together is going to last 5 internet minutes, and it's just obsolete right away, or whether we've built something a little bit more enduring. I like to think that we've approached it from a perspective that this can be an enduring document that people can use for a long time. In terms of functional use, I guess the document contains swipe files for policies, for frameworks, for approaches, and it's designed for use for pretty much any size organization, from basically solopreneurs who are going to pick and choose probably some ROI-focused approaches and maybe some basic training pieces, to much more sophisticated organizations that are going to be building leadership teams around this and really taking it quite seriously from a learning and development perspective. And I think it ticks all of those boxes. So it's a real ask to this community and the people who are participating in the RAI is we've built this. It's been blood, sweat, and tears over many, many months and many, many man hours. And now we want to get it out there in the live. And this is a public resource. So we highly encourage everyone to scan this QR code or visit the RA, and it may not work for everyone. I've been told that it doesn't work on all phones, so I apologize. Tech guy failure. But please, please, please post about this on social channels, send it to clients or colleagues, whatever it may be. I think you'll find either the document completely usable or at least pieces of it that you can deploy in whatever your organization is. So I'd love to open it up for questions, any way, shape, or form. We're really excited to have this hit the ground, and yeah, now we can redeploy ourselves onto the next workforce and education challenge, whatever that may be. Any questions about the blueprint? Everyone's already downloaded it, right? Yeah. Samir. The RAI should be cited. I mean, if you're using the document, I would say. Penny, I actually hadn't thought about that question.
Yeah. I think in general, so this is the cover. You can see that it says developed in partnership with the University of Utah 1 Year Responsible AI Initiative. In terms of how it would actually be cited, we should probably figure that out. But I Kelly earlier today, and we will have some social next week. And so keep your eye out on that. I think those would be great to kind of make sure that those get shared. And so we'll have lots of resources for folks to share those. We'll send those out to probably we could share that with everyone here, and then also just make sure that you have the resources you need to share. But please take a look, and I think also open to feedback.
Yeah, always open to feedback. This is version 1, and we pushed really hard to get it done. So you know, there will be a version 1.1 and a version 1.2 and so on, and then the technology will change again, and we'll have to figure that out as we go. But it's pretty stable. Martin.
That was great. Thank you for sharing that. What do you think the barriers are for leaders of companies to use something like this, and how have you helped them in the past overcome those barriers? And they could be many, right?
There are many. I honestly have pinpointed it to leadership above all else, that if the organizational leaders, and that's usually right up at the top, aren't taking a firm stand on how they feel and how they feel that the organization needs to feel about AI, this stuff just doesn't work. So I said the term manifesto earlier. We don't actually provide a manifesto in here, but it's one of the things that I almost insist that clients do, is that the CEO or C-suite or whatever it is writes a manifesto around AI. And that might be super aggressive or it might be super conservative, but at least it's clear that where people know how the organization stands and how they're going to approach it. And then really the training pieces of it are absolutely essential, and making clear that it's not optional, that if you're going to embrace this technology, it is really hard to do so beyond a very basic level unless you actually have some training and exposure to how to think about it. Nope, just passing the microphone. Teased me. All right. Well, thank you so much. Please distribute to your friends. And this isn't just necessarily a Utah thing. We wrote it to be universal. So spread it far and wide for sure. Fantastic.
Thank you, Kevin. The next group will be on AI infrastructure. So I believe we have Greg Jones and Sarah McLaughlin-Wynn to come and talk about what their special interest group has been up to.
We had a bunch of slides, but Penny lost them just before the meeting. Oh, you built slides? They're here? Wow. Wow. Well, come up and talk through the slides. Yeah.
There we go.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, you go. You take it.
Oh, here's our mission statement. And basically I'm from NVIDIA, so that's where I work. That's my day job. So of course I think you need chips to do AI, and you need infrastructure around those chips to do AI, and you need cloud services to take that AI and put it into a product and spread your inference all around the world and such. So infrastructure is how I look at things. And so this is the panel that looks at that type of stuff. So what we've done in the early days is run around looking for use cases, both in the university and outside the universities, and bring those use cases to a monthly meeting just to inform the crew of, here's a use case, what could it do with more compute? So an example is we looked at ARUP Labs. They are working on a vision model, looking at slides for a particular bloodborne cancer. And what they could use is they already have a cluster of, I think, 4 or 8 H100s that they're cranking away on, and they could use a cluster of 32 H100s to really crank. So we actually put them on an NVIDIA cluster and gave them a couple weeks on that, and they could figure out what they could do with more compute. And then we use those types of use cases to inform Manish and team of what should be built out in Utah for the state of Utah to do these super use cases. We had a recent hackathon that AWS sponsored. And so looking at SageMaker and tools like that on AWS, where do those fit in the ecosystem of academics and small companies coming up to build their things? So that infrastructure also includes those software layers and how people understand them, how they use them. What do we need to do to bring that all to fruition? And is there another slide?
Yep.
Okay, wow, wow.
You want me to do that?
We have a barcode.
I know, scan.
It's very,
Sure.
yeah, scan this barcode. Current activities. So hackathon series, okay. Monthly presentations. We were part of the group that helped the University of Utah and all the other universities in the state, the public ones. We're still working with BYU. We need to finish that up and get them on that document also, along with the state legislature, the Utah System for Higher Education. A couple other folks all signed an MOU to basically increase workforce training here in the state in collaboration with NVIDIA. So that MOU was signed. AWS has stood up an innovation sandbox, and Sarah will briefly talk about what that is in just a second. But that MOU, along with some work we've done recently with HPE, they've just announced this. Have you talked about this announcement during the meeting? I've just been out getting coffee during that time. So a $50 million five-year investment by the state and by the Huntsmans to really bring a lot of infrastructure to Utah. This is mainly going to be H100 based, right? With H200 based. Wow, man, I should really spend more time with this group. This is a really big deal. So these GPUs, and I say GPU, but the infrastructure around these GPUs is the networking, of course, the software layer on top of that allows people to get to these GPUs, gang them together to do heavy duty training, heavy duty inference, but also the layer of expertise that goes on, which Manish's crew is building. The layer of how do we get PHY data into this system? How do we put security measures for the right data, the right place? How do we open up the data? How do we open up the systems to the people? And so this cluster is going to be heavily resourced with expertise, with software. And the idea is everybody in the state, small company, innovative companies, large corporations, should be able to get to this cluster to help Utah be the place that people build AI. Right. And with that, I don't want to take the last minute and not give Sarah a chance to talk about that.
No, in line with that, right? I've worked with Penny and Manish to build out an architecture that creates an innovation sandbox for AI. So a space people can come to throughout the university space, the state, startups, that sort of thing is the end goal, to be able to implement and try out different AI tools easily, and then spin down those accounts or just trash them when they're not needed after they've done some exploration. And then if they've designed something that they want to take to the next level, easily take that and move it into their own environment for future development. So very excited to be partnering and look forward to more sessions monthly. Please join us.
Yeah, and scan our QR code. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Sarah and Greg. The next group will be our policy special interest group, and Brady Young will be talking about that.
Thank you. I'm Brady Young. I'm a legal and policy advisor for Utah's Office of AI Policy, and one of the co-leads for the policy special interest group, which we do have a slide. Good. We initially set as our policy mission statement something more broad. We interpreted policy as both AI policies for companies and other institutions, as well as matters of public policy. Obviously, based on Kevin's presentation, they've really taken the lead as far as that first notion with regards to institutions and companies and what their internal policies should be. And I highly recommend. I've reviewed those documents. They're really, really well developed and thoughtful. So our focus now is more strictly on matters of public policy, and that happens to dovetail very nicely with my day job. I want to go back to my boss's comments today. Actually, my boss's boss, Margaret. I think she set the tone off really well when she talked about collaboration between government, industry, academia, and community. And I think this whole event has been one of enormous collaboration. We all come from different backgrounds and spaces from each of those areas. And there's been a synergy here that is really, really important. And so I think our goal now is to try to recruit people, because we are interested in people like you, the people in this room who obviously have been here all day. So you have an obvious demonstrated interest in AI. All the matters that have been discussed today can have public policy aspects to them. A huge deliverable that we have a mandate in my office at Department of Commerce to achieve is legislation, actual change in state laws that can really both innovate and protect consumers at the same time, as Margaret spoke about earlier today. So if any of you have ideas on matters of public concern that are affecting Utahns, use case scenarios of AIs that are freaking you out, concerns about impacts on, we just talked about, this education group was great, talking about impacts on kids and in education and students more broadly speaking. Ideas for policies, public policies that Utah should consider. You people have your feet on the ground more than anybody, and any input that we can get from you as part of our special interest group can be a conduit to my office and something that we can consider working with. And then any innovative ideas and related developments with AI that you're aware of. And I've taken copious notes, and I have a little device that records and makes transcripts of all the talks today, because there's been so much talk about the innovative ideas here today. So here's our QR code. I also invite you to please scan it. We have had a solid group of people meeting monthly, and many of them are here, and we have talked about all manners of public policy. We want to hear from you. I'm envious. We've had a good solid core group, but I'm envious of Kevin's group of 65. So please, if you have ideas and thoughts that you want to communicate to our special interest group, please scan the QR code, take down our email, or rather our website. No, that is our email. And the other one is our website. Please let us know and communicate with us and join our group, and we'll be in touch with you. Thanks.
Before you go, quick question. So vision and mission statement typically goes as vision, mission, values, and values is a ethical and moral framework for decision making. Do you plan to come up with your value statement?
I think I can best answer that by referring to the Venn diagram, if you were here for that in Margaret's presentation, where we have a mandate to observe and learn, to foster innovation, while at the same time protecting consumers. I think that's a good summation of what the value of our special interest group is too, is that we want to make sure we're covering all those bases and doing so in a responsible way. But I also take that point that maybe some work on a vision and mission statement would be useful for our group. So thank you. And values. Thank you.
Hey, our newest special interest group, this special interest group actually got launched back in January, which is pretty impressive, and has already gone through leadership changes. Yet we still have 3 amazing co-leads who are here today to talk about our new community and civil society engagement SIG.
Hello, thanks for giving us an opportunity to talk. We are probably the least ahead in our program right now. We just really, the 3 of us got together in the last 2 months. So, be gentle with us. I'm Lisa Steckman, and I'm here with Will and Gabe, and we're all co-chairing and putting this together. And we've been working a lot even in the last month to start our mission, which has been great. So the problem that we see, put my glasses on. So the problem that we see is that technology development, I think there was another comment to this, frequently is just happening around the communities, and people have very little say in what's happening and have very little input on how they want it to affect their lives. And so that's the problem. We want people to be involved. We're here to bring people together and get them involved, have their voices be heard. That's really our goal. Reduce the friction that occurs sometimes in getting your voice heard in the community. And so as our mission statement, unite groups most impacted by AI systems, and really everyone is. So we want to reach out to all the community groups that we can and provide these accessible pathways to get them into these other consortium members areas so that they can have some effective advocacy for them. Yes.
One question that we get asked the most is, how do we define community, right? Like, what does that mean? Who are we even interacting with? And so our answer to that is it on?
Hello.
Okay.
Our answer to that is any groups that aren't represented by some larger organization thing. So the rest of the community consortium is made up of academia, government, and industry, right? Community are any groups where people come together outside of those bounds, right? Think adult education centers, religious organizations. Think what else we got? We got charities, right? Foundations, clubs, could just be clubs, right? Knitting clubs, places where communities come together and they might be facing issues related to AI, but they're not, their voices aren't heard as much because they don't interact with the people making decisions and designing these systems. So we're trying to target those groups specifically.
Thank you. Yes. Good examples. So how are we achieving this? We're doing a lot of outreach. We're building those relationships with local groups. So part of our goal here today is, for you to know that we exist, and also to be able to get involved with our email lists and our bi-monthly meetings so that we can get connected to groups in the communities. If you have a group that you're a member of, if you know someone who leads groups in the community, we want to talk to them and listen. A lot of our goal right now is really just listening and really understanding how we can best meet those needs and get people connected. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. Early in our journey. So if you'd like to help us, we'd love to have you. Right now, we are an army of 3. And we had a conversation just recently, actually, where someone was asking us, how can we help them get involved across the state? And we were like, oh, yeah, this is a whole state. We have to figure out how we're going to do that. So any help we can get, we will surely accept. So we also have a QR code. It's the theme of the day for the SIGs. And this will get you on our mailing list. And as soon as you get there, we'll send you a welcome and you can get connected with us to get more information. Any questions from anyone? Since I have a minute. Uh-oh.
Did anyone successfully scan the QR code? Okay. Well, you can come up to us after and we can get you signed up.
If you go RAI, you'll see links to each of the special groups that get added. But I know that requires
Yeah.
All right.
And we are happy to, if you have a group that you want us to come to, we'd love to get some invites. We love the face-to-face stuff the most. So thanks.
Perfect. And last but not least, only the last alphabetically, which in our very alphabet forward group, is the frameworks and best practices special interest group. So welcome, Jared Hoskins.
Penny had me go last because mine's the most exciting, I promise. Best practices and frameworks. So our mission is to align what best practices and frameworks our SIG is committed to advancing and adopting responsible AI technologies. When we begin to look at what the state of Utah is doing, what other states are doing, and then what we are doing from a federal standpoint. There are a lot of frameworks, there are a lot of best practices that have already started to lay the ground for and the groundwork for. Question is how many people are aware of these technologies? How many people are adopting these technologies? And then at the same time, how are we collaborating across industry, academia, and even communities to find out what is or isn't working? We're in the early stages. And for me and like my organization and what we get into is the innovation and the advancement and the opportunity that AI presents will set us far apart from those that are worldwide. My company is in the defense sector, so we look at adversarial countries, we look at warfare related aerospace and defense technologies. So the ability to advance and set us apart, but at the same time to also protect that information at the same time and make sure that we have the appropriate guardrails, transparency, trust, and integrity in what we do. The only way we can accomplish that is to follow those frameworks that do provide trust, they do provide transparency, and they have validated integrity behind them. Okay, obviously I went right into the absence of that unification. I went right into actionable frameworks. And again, if we're unaware of those things, it does hinder the trust and the opportunity for our community partners, our academia, government, and industry to trust and work together across lines, okay? In addition to that, we'll be looking to utilize NIST frameworks, international standards frameworks, IEC. There's a lot that are out there. One of the things that I want to emphasize with our SIG is we've given this a lot of thought and we've had a lot of discussion. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel on some of these things. We can really look to a lot of the frameworks and best practices that have already begun to lay the groundwork out there. And now what we can do is we can build from those, we can enhance those, we can make them better, but we can only do that with cross-sector collaboration. Again, I already talked about the collaboration point. Again, diving deep into Utah and why Utah is in a unique position is our workforce and our willingness to work with one another across lines. Okay, we may not always agree on things, but we are willing to find common ground and work to the ability to have the latest and greatest, the best capabilities. And that's something, I don't know if you're like me in any way, but I know most people I know here in Utah are competitive as heck. So it's amazing to watch our state, our leaders, our partners. And truthfully, I thought I was sitting towards the front. I thought more of the room had cleared out. I thought half the room would clear out when I got up on stage, but you guys are here. I'm excited. I'm glad to see that. It provides hope. Okay, for our SIG, we are having monthly cross-sector meetings. We are discussing what are the different resources, what are the different tools, what are the different opportunities out there, what are the perspectives, what are the new challenges. Challenges we face change, they evolve every single day. The challenge I had with AI yesterday is not the same one that I have today, okay? Focus areas. I've already hit on this quite a bit, but validity, reliability, safety, resilience, explainability, interpretability, fairness, accountability, and transparency. Those are key. I know it's a lot, but at the same time, if we don't have these things, I can tell you right now, I wouldn't want my kids using it. Okay, we as a SIG have a few deliverables. Draft and develop a white paper that lends to what are the resources, what are the tools, what are the best practices, and what are the frameworks that we can begin to standardize on that are also from a federal to a nationwide and an international basis down here in Utah, here in the region, and across the country. Lastly, develop one of the things that our team has, I will hurry through this. Our team has worked and will continue to work to develop governance templates. This is pretty broad, is what I would like to say. We're going to begin to build baseline foundational templates that businesses, small, medium, large, can begin to work from without having to wonder, hey, what should I use? Nor do they also have to depend on going to some sort of AI platform and hoping it generates what is relevant to their industry or their vertical. We have a few pilot projects. We have use cases, AI use, security and compliance. We want to make sure the guardrails, data governance, and security is there. Policy. One of the big things our team's been talking about is alignment with policy. Policymakers don't understand what assessors, auditors, and those that are going to come in and evaluate your security, compliance, data protection, privacy, all of that. They're going to be in trouble if we craft policy that doesn't follow those guidelines. And then lastly, working with state and federal partners. And then of course we got into the pilots. Okay. Our biggest thing is this, having more partners, having more folks to collaborate with and work with. One of the things that was mentioned quite heavily today that I can personally really come to have a respect for is, how do we have trust? How do we have integrity? How do we have transparency and all of that? The only way we can do that, we have to talk, we have to work together. We have to know, hey, what did you experience that I haven't experienced yet? I don't want to be the guy that experiences all my healthcare data being exposed. I don't want to be the guy. I would love for them to learn how to cure a disease that I have, that they don't need to know that I have that disease. Okay. That's important to us. So take a moment, scan the QR code, join the SIG, be a part of shaping those best practices, those frameworks, and be a part of our policy group to help our legislators and help others know as they craft policy that it's in alignment with what others are doing so that we can come together stronger and better.